Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It is now time for the Pony Cake Sports Podcast with your host, Josh Stevens and Tom Schultz. Woo!
Wide receiver forecast for week number 14 has arrived for you. And I love wide receivers more than I love running backs and more than I love quarterbacks. And I am ready to talk about the wideouts for week 14.
Woo!
Again, guys, we are on fantasyomatic.com. Please follow along on their site. Just go to the wide receiver tab for week 14. Pull it up. It's got an algorithm, all that good stuff. Spits it all out. Yada, yada, yada. But yeah, let's get right into it. And we have number 1, Antonio Brown at the Buffalo Bills. I'm a little afraid with that ranking just for the fact that it's going to be in Buffalo, and I think it's going to be snowing.
The Steelers are a different team on the road, so I do not like Antonio Brown number 1 this week. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say you don't want to start your Pittsburgh Steelers because you have to start them. They're the Steelers, and they're amazing, but he shouldn't be number 1 this week.
No, I agree. And then I even look at number 2, and it's going to be Doug Baldwin. And we have said episode after episode this week that we really like Doug Baldwin, but I don't like Doug Baldwin at number 2. I like him at like number 6 or 7, maybe even 5. But number 2, I kind of don't like him there. I think he's going to be a sneaky play this week. I just don't think he deserves to be in the number 2 spot.
I think Doug Baldwin's a must-start this week, and I think he's got a good chance to have one of those Doug Baldwin games, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Is he deserving of the number 2 spot, though?
No.
Do you think he's going to do that well?
It's more luck, but I could totally see him having one of those games this week. He always seems to in the later end of the season.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he's going to have a good game, and I think he could really do what you just said, but I don't think that just throwing it out there, I don't think he's going to, you look at Doug Baldwin and go, yep, he's going to have 80 and 3 touchdowns. But he could have that, but I don't think that deserves him being the number 2 spot.
The guy that deserves to be number 1, Josh, I think you're starting to rub off on me, but it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' own Michael Evans.
I almost just spit my beer all over you and all over the computer.
Dude, I just feel like I should go buy a freaking Mike Evans jersey. I love the dude.
Yeah, Mike Evans is a monster. That team is playing very well right now. They're playing at home this game. They're playing against the Saints. And I just like everything about Mike Evans this week. Honestly, I like Mike Evans as my number 1 this week overall. That's just me.
Yeah, you saw what Golden Tate did to that defense, and Michael Evans is a lot better than Golden Tate. And they didn't force feed him the ball last week, but I have a feeling they're going to this week.
Yeah, he had, 38 yards receiving last week?
I think only like 6 or 7 targets.
Yeah, very mediocre game. I think they were doubling him a lot. Jameis win a lot to Cameron Brate. And I think this is going to be a game where Mike Evans just really takes over and really makes it his game. So, going down the list, they have Odell Beckham at number 4 against Dallas. They're at home. And then they got Jordy Nelson against the Seahawks, and again, Jordy Nelson is at home as well. Now, me personally, I would like to slide them both down just a tad and move Julio Jones up, who is at number 6 on their list, and they are facing the Rams.
Yeah, Julio deserves to be higher. I'm not a huge believer in that turf toe, and some people are kind of worried that it's going to limit him, but I think he's going to have a huge week this week. Big bounce back week. Well, he had a good game last week. No touchdown, though. Over 100 yards, but Julio deserves to be in that top 5.
DeSean Jackson is at number 7, and they are playing the Eagles. And I think DeSean Jackson is going to have a decent game, and it's going to be like a retribution game like we've talked about before this episode.
It's payback.
And, yeah, I think he's going to have a decent game. I find it hard to believe that I would put him at number 7 on my list.
Yeah, I feel like if I ranked him in my top 15, that'd be doing him justice, and it'd be a good, solid ranking for him. But 7, it's too high. There's way too many other fantasy wide receivers out there who are a better player and who aren't pretty much a roll of the dice and see if he's going to catch one of those long touchdown passes.
Yeah, I would rather have a Larry Fitzgerald above him or even a Brandon Marshall Just for the fact that Bryce Petty is throwing the ball to Brandon Marshall doesn't really matter to me. Just for the fact that it is Brandon Marshall and he can go up and get the ball. So having DeSean Jackson at 7 and Marshall and Larry Fitzgerald at 14 and 19, just a little crazy to me, that's all.
I agree.
One thing that did shock me a little bit was Jeremy Maclin at number 12. Jeremy Maclin has been out for how many weeks now? A handful of weeks, I can't even count.
3 or 4
3 or 4
least.
weeks. And they're going to put him in at number 12 against the Oakland Raiders. Now, believe me, I understand the Oakland Raiders give up points to wide receivers, understandably. But you're going to give it to Jeremy Maclin, of all people, who have been out, or who has been out, 3 or 4 weeks, and then you're not even going to consider Tyreek Hill. I don't even see him in the top 40 on this list. So to me, I think that's a travesty.
I do too. There's no way I'm considering Jeremy Maclin a number 1 wide receiver this week in 12-team leagues. There's no way.
I'm going to go way down the list just for the fact that I want to catch some of these guys at more towards the end. Oh, Tyreek Hill is at number 60, by the way.
Ooh.
Way low to me. Where's the other one? Malcolm Mitchell, who is at number 69. This is a guy that has kind of turned it on as of late, the last couple weeks, and he's looking more and more like Tom Brady's favorite target. Gronk is out. Should he be higher on this list? I know he's playing Baltimore.
Yeah, he should be. He's kind of taking that Gronk role. He's lining up in the slot and making tons of plays there. He's been great in the red zone, and he's been finding the end zone since he's been 100% healthy.
We have a starter that is ranked at number 75. His name is Terrell Pryor. Converted quarterback, now wide receiver. He is facing Cincinnati. 75, I feel like that's way too low for him. I think he should be a lot higher as well. He's going to be on a lot of teams' fantasy playoff teams.
Oh, yeah. He's kind of came out of nowhere, was a super late round sleeper, kind of flyer, and he's paid off this year. And it really doesn't matter what kind of game the Browns are in. They're going to force feed him the ball, especially if RG3 is healthy. He likes throwing it deep, and he's got a good chance to catch a deep touchdown pass.
Michael Thomas or Brandon Cooks?
Michael Thomas every week over Cooks.
Do you know what their rankings are?
I know Cooks is high up there.
Yeah, Cooks is, I believe, 8, right?
9.
9. And Michael Thomas is number 55.
That's ludicrous.
That's crazy. Blows my mind.
You know what I hate?
Huh?
17 and 18.
17 and 18. Those are Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper. You think they should be lower?
Yeah. Look what happened the last time these two teams played. Marcus Peters followed around Crabtree.
Was that week 4?
4 or 5. But Crabtree was limited to 2 receptions for 10 yards. And Cooper had 10 receptions, 129 yards. Kansas City's best cornerback was covering Crabtree pretty much the whole game. And they won that. I think Kansas City won that game.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
But they're probably going to do the same thing. So that's what I'm guessing. And I think I like Cooper a lot more than Crabtree this week.
It's funny because I remember that game and we told a lot of followers on SleeperBot to bench Crabtree and they all thought we were crazy for telling them that. This week, I am telling everybody to play Michael Crabtree. I have faith in him this week. I know Marcus Peters is going to be on him, but I just really like him and the matchup. I think that team has just grown, and I think Carr is going to have the faith in Michael Crabtree to come down with the ball in jump ball situations. So I am going to tell everybody out there to play Michael Crabtree, and if you want to tell him not to, that's cool, but I have faith in him this week.
Yeah, don't start him.
I'm just saying. Dez Bryant is at number 25, and he is facing the Giants. He is around the likes of Jermaine Kearse, Julian Edelman, Sammy Watkins. He's below Ted Ginn, and I don't get that one bit.
Dez had a tough matchup last week facing Xavier Rhodes most of the game. This week, he's facing the Jackrabbit, Janoris Jenkins, who's another solid quality corner. It's probably going to be a tough matchup, but Dez is 100% healthy right now. He's looking good. Him and Dak, they're on the same page. So I think Dez deserves to be way higher on the list.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dez is... He's Dez.
Yep.
And he does Dez things. So I know, like you said, Janoris Jenkins is going to be on him, but again, he had a tough matchup last week. and I think he's going to do the same thing this week. He's going to prove to us why he is that number one wide receiver, came back from that injury, and he's going to do what he does.
Josh, who's your number one Packers wide receiver this week?
Number one Packers wide receiver, I'm going to go with Davante Adams this week. Davante Adams, he's going to have Jeremy Lane on him. I like Jeremy Lane, but he has not been great as of late. And I'm sorry, but Jordy Nelson had a big game last week. He had the most targets, and Davante Adams had the second amount of targets on the team with 7, I believe. But I think you're going to see Davante Adams with the most targets this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is kind of...
If there's a corner to pick on, it's Jeremy Lane.
Yeah, this feels like a Davante Adams 9 to 10 catch, 90 to 110 yard type game. I think they're going to use him early and use him often, as long as the weather's permitting. Last week it was tough for him.
So I'm going to just start bringing up some guys from matchups, okay?
Yep.
We got Brandon LaFell, who is playing the Browns. And then we have T.Y. Hilton, who is playing Houston. Houston has been not terrible, not great against the pass. Brandon LaFell doing very good the last couple weeks. No more A.J. Green for at least another handful of weeks. Out of those two guys, who are you going with and why? Go.
I'm still going to go T.Y. He looked amazing on Monday Night Football. Hit over 10 catches, over 100 yards. Him and Luck, they're on a different page than Dalton and LaFell are on, in all honesty. Yeah, Houston is a tougher matchup, but T.Y. has performed well against that team. He's had 3 games scoring over 22 fantasy points against the Houston Texans. I don't know if he's going to hit that mark, but I could see him 100 yards and a touchdown in that game. They need to win that game. T.Y. is a great player and is a legit number one wide receiver.
I guess this would be a better question because Brandon LaFell, in my eyes, is a number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah.
And you're only playing him if maybe you have the likes of A.J. Green and you got him on the waivers. So if that's the case, let's do this. Let's do Brandon LaFell and Marvin Jones. Again, Marvin Jones has been I don't want to say a number 1 wide receiver all year, probably a mid to low number 2 minus his first couple weeks. But if Marvin Jones is healthy and he's playing this week against the Chicago Bears, would you rely on Marvin Jones or are you going to go with Brandon LaFell?
I'm going to roll the dice and go Jones.
Really?
He hasn't done much, but this is the matchup where he should shine. If he's playing and is looking good by, let's say Thursday, Friday, say he's a full go, then I'm all for that.
What San Diego wide receiver are you most comfortable with? Travis Benjamin, Dontrell Inman, or Tyrell Williams?
Williams, if he's out there playing. Yeah, him and Inman both had good weeks last week. Both scored touchdowns, but Williams is the better receiver.
Yeah, I agree. I think Williams by far is the most explosive guy out there. Inman is the Mr. Safety Blanket in my eyes right now.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
So a lot of owners, a lot of Pony Express members have been relying on Rashard Matthews this year. He's kind of came out of nowhere, been scoring touchdowns left and right, but this week he faces the Broncos. Are you going to be starting him?
Yes.
You're not worried about that matchup?
I'm not worried. I'm taking a leap of faith, and I think the Tennessee Titans and Marcus Mariota and everything about that Tennessee team is going to come out and do what they need to do and beat Denver and I don't want to say beat them by a lot, but they're going to come out and do what they need to do. And Rashard Matthews, if at all, at worst, I think he still gets a touchdown and maybe 30 yards receiving at the worst, which is still not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to look down the list here, we have, Stefon Diggs at Jacksonville. Some people have relied on him throughout the weeks going into the playoffs. Are you relying on him? Is it standard or PPR?
I'd start him. He's been a target beast when he's been out there. He's had multiple games over 10 receptions, and he's their number 1 wideout. Adam Thielen has looked good, but a lot of that is when Diggs has been either injured, limited, or out of the whole game completely.
Would you feel comfortable starting him in just standard scoring?
If I needed to start 3 wide receivers, yes. To me, he's a wide receiver number 3.
More comfortable PPR, obviously.
Yeah.
Will Fuller against the Colts. I just want to ask, Are you comfortable throwing him out there if you absolutely need to?
If you need to, yeah. He's got that breakaway speed. Colts secondary isn't that great, and their pass rush isn't really good either. They don't get to the quarterback that often. He's kind of in that D-Jax role where you're praying for a long touchdown to make him fantasy viable.
Let's just bring up these two in case if they did have A.J. Green. I know we said that before. Malcolm Mitchell or Will Fuller. Out of those two, who would you feel more comfortable starting if you absolutely had to, relying on your playoff hopes?
Malcolm Mitchell. I think he's been more consistent, and he could do more than Will Fuller. Will Fuller pretty much runs a go route. That's it.
I agree, hands down. I wouldn't even consider Will Fuller this week. I know he had a decent week last week, but whatever.
Are you starting any Jacksonville wide receiver?
Absolutely not.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta stay away from all Jacksonville wide receivers right now. Robbie Anderson or Quincy Enunwa.
Robbie Anderson got a ton of targets once Bryce Petty got in that game. It was kind of nuts, but I think Quincy Enunwa is a better player.
Yeah, Quincy Enunwa is the better wide receiver out of the two.
Petty's going to get first-team reps this week, so that means there's a chance he'll get more comfortable with Brandon Marshall and Quincy Enunwa.
What wide receiver scores the most fantasy points this week for you, and which fantasy wide receiver are you starting in daily?
My Fananas play of the week is going to be Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper.
I really think Crabtree is going to be limited this week. I don't think a lot of people will be picking Cooper in Fananas since you only get to start one wide receiver. But I like his upside. I could see him catching a touchdown and going over 100 yards.
You think he scores the most points, hands down?
I think he has a chance. I think this could be one of his big blow-up games.
I am going to go with, it's tough right now, but I'm going to go with Mike Evans. We said it at the beginning of the show, and I just think Mike Evans should be number one on the top of the list, and I think he's going to just blow up this week. They're going to try to find ways to get him the ball, and if that means force-feeding him the ball, then so be it. That's what they're going to do. So, that's what I got. You got anything else for the show?
Nope.
All right, guys. That is the Week 14 wide receiver forecast. Hope you enjoyed it. And please, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, follow us and message us on Twitter at PonyCakeSports. Email us, ponycakesports@gmail.com. We're on all sorts of platforms now, so find us on iTunes, Google Play. We are now on iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. But yeah, good luck this week, and let us know how you do.